series. I'm Ogechi Ekianyawo, and on weekends we talk about the impact of the pandemic in Nigeria. Joining us today is Aisha Abdullahi Bubah. She's the lead psychologist and founder of the Sunshine series, which is a mind wellness establishment. We'll be talking about how the stress of this unprecedented crisis affects the mental health of school children. Aisha, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay. So let's just get right to it. As children have been at home for close to 4 months now, I mean, their normal routines were abruptly disrupted. What do we know about how isolation and lockdowns and just the general disruptions of their usual routine affect children and their mental well-being?
The same way this whole arrangement with COVID-19 pandemic and all the changes impacts the mental health of adults, it also impacts the mental health of children. Just that maybe the severity may be different and the level of understanding would be different. So, for example, even as adults, we experience stress as a result of the new arrangement. Kids also go through that, or feelings of anxiety as a result of the uncertain nature of the pandemic. Children also experience that because they are not currently sure of what's happening, what's life going to look like, when are they going to resume their normal activities, when are they going to be able to get back to meeting with their friends. So all of these uncertainties can also make them feel anxious or make them feel a bit more sad. So it affects the mental health of children just as much as in the same ways it affects that of adults, just that the severity may differ. So it's important to always make emphasis on how it's affecting the children. Their routine has changed. They are now constantly at home, and maybe they have to go through the same activities over and over again. And for some kids, they are probably stuck in lockdown in places that they don't have access to meeting other kids again. So they end up having to stay indoors. Or maybe you have a child who is actually an only child and stays at home by themselves. When parents are busy with work from home, they now have to find ways to engage themselves. And not every child is adjusting well to the whole online schooling now, especially children who have special educational needs. It's a challenge for them to cope with the new arrangement. So yes, their mental health can be affected in so many ways, just like that of adults.
So what are the ways in which what are the ways in which are these symptoms surfacing? How are children behaving differently from how they would have behaved if there was no pandemic that they had to deal with?
So you may notice maybe it doesn't apply to every child, but a child can exhibit maybe more hyperactivity, so they are more hyperactive, or maybe some signs of rebellious behavior or irritability. They get easily angered, or maybe moody. They are moody. They are sad. They have troubles with following rules. So this would definitely bring about a bit of more arguments with their parents or guardians, or maybe they become sad, or maybe they begin to isolate more and withdraw from maybe interacting with other family members. So it could show in different ways. Just that the important thing is that you notice that there is something different in the behavior of the child as opposed to what you're normally used to. So when you notice that, and especially in a negative light, it indicates that, okay, maybe their mental health is experiencing a bit of a challenge at this moment. So any difference that you notice, which is negative and it's not their usual way of behaving or their usual way of interacting. So, yeah.
Okay, are there ways we can protect children or in fact help them manage the era that we're in, help them manage their feelings, how they feel at this period?
Yes, of course there are ways, and it's important that we also explore these ways, not just when they show signs of struggling with their mental health, but even when they don't show any signs. For example, starting with information sharing, it helps a lot that kids are aware of what's going on. So hiding information from them can make them more and more anxious, and maybe seeking the information from all the wrong places. But when you make them aware, you let them know what is happening, they're aware of what is happening, they have some basic information. You can break the information down to their level. So it doesn't mean you have to fill them up with all the statistics and all the scary news, but you can just provide them with truthful information, but break it down to a basic level. And then also help them understand the kind of work that is going on, what doctors are trying to do to come up with a lasting solution for this, what other frontline workers are trying to do, so that it offers some form of reassurance for them, so that they know that it's not a hopeless situation. There is a lot of background work going on to try and make it different. So arming them with information, finding out how you can engage them, how can you keep them engaged in a very fun and productive way. So it's not just about going to school online and then they come back and then they are idle and they have nothing to do. That lack of engagement can be problematic for a child because they have all of that energy. Where do they now channel it? They don't move around, they don't engage in so many stuff. So it can help to create a kind of activity that can be done indoors. So you find out that some parents have started exploring some hobbies with their kids. Some maybe have reading clubs, maybe fun stories that they read and discuss as a family, or they engage in painting or some other form of artwork or something that engages them, right? And it's also important that you listen, you let them ask questions, you listen to them. So it's not always just about what we want to tell them, but also listening to them. They have concerns, they also think, they also process information, and all of this is so much on them too. Be open to letting your kids ask you questions. When they have questions, be open to listening to their questions, to addressing their questions. Because again, if they don't get their responses from you, they may get it from all the wrong places. Kids tend to have more internet time nowadays, and there is so much going on the internet because everybody is on it now. But it's important that at least you are also there. That way, it keeps you aware of what's going on with them, whatever anxiety-provoking thoughts they may have. And it's also important to regulate the amount of exposure they have to the internet. Cyberbullying has always existed. It's real. It happens. It comes with so many consequences, and it's not going to suddenly go away now. In fact, it's likely to even be on the rise because more people are online now. So it's important that you monitor what kind of content they are exposed to online. That way, they are not struggling with on bullies on the internet world, or faced with some challenges on the internet world that you're probably not even aware of. So it's important to engage with your kids. Parents are very busy now trying to juggle home and work, but it's important that you carve out, even if it's a number of minutes a day or an hour that you spend regularly with the kids. That amount of time is enough to give you a lot of insight into what's going on with your child, what they need, what concerns they may have. So these are some of the few ways that you can stay in touch with your child's mental health and the progress that they are making in terms of their mental well-being.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask about your observation in your work right now. Are you witnessing more children presenting with challenges as regards their mental health, or is it the same?
Well, I would say that yes, the challenges have changed. Yes, some already had some challenges and it's escalated. Some are presenting with new challenges. But the thing is, we may not even be able to say as much because they have to access our services first before we are able to tell what kind of challenges they are faced with. And a lot of people are not even aware that children have mental health and their mental health can take a significant toll during this period. So most times we get carried away with adult mental health, and it's because adults are the ones struggling to cope with all the changes, all the losses that come with this pandemic. So we tend to ignore and forget the fact that children may also be struggling. So that's why these kind of conversations are very, very important, to let people know that children also are struggling with their mental health during this period, and it's completely significant. It's highly important that when seeking mental health support to also consider the needs of children, because right now I'm not sure I have any specific data to give in terms of what kind of challenges children face in terms of their mental health, because not much of the services is being sought for them.
So, do you think that there'll be long-term consequences for this set of children growing up in this era, as they are separated from their peers and with online schooling, closure of schools, and even just closure of event centers where they would usually go to play? and the kids are separated from their friends and peers. At one time, I took my child out, and he was super excited to be out. He's an only child. I can only imagine the impact of just being isolated from the rest of his friends, and how he's going through that. Do you think that we should be worried about the children's social development at this time?
So because children have the tendency to adapt to situations faster, they may have higher resilience, so they may be able to cope better when life returns to normal. But currently, we have no idea when life is going to return to normal, what the new normal is going to look like. So, of course, yes, it can have an impact on their social development because we are still experiencing this pandemic. We still don't know what kind of impact it's going to really have at the end of it. So of course, it can affect social development, it can affect their socialization, it can affect their growth and their interaction. And it's not what they're used to, and it's going to be a new kind of situation, trying to get used to whatever the new normal would be. So definitely, it can have a lasting impact on children. It can, the same way it can have a lasting impact on adults, it can also have lasting impact on children.
Okay. Can you just leave parents and caregivers generally with better skills to deal with outbursts of anger or increase in tantrums or other symptoms that children might be manifesting as a result of the pandemic? But people are talking about self-care, for instance. If parents don't care for themselves, they will not be able to respond with care or compassion, to their children's needs. So can you leave parents and caregivers generally with better skills to manage their children's behavior at this point in time?
I'm very glad you mentioned self-care because that's what I would have started with also. As a human, as a parent, you cannot pour from an empty cup. When the parent is stressed out, when the parent is completely not at the top of their mental well-being, it becomes difficult for them to give their best as caregivers. So most importantly, as a parent, make your self-care a priority. Take care of yourself. Of course, there is so much to do. There are so many deadlines, there are so many responsibilities, and it seems like there isn't time to look out after yourself. So self-care does not mean you just vanish. It could be some things that you incorporate into your daily activities. It could be things that you do in 30 minutes in a day. It could be taking naps. It could be exercising. It could be doing the things that you enjoy doing. And in fact, when you're focusing on self-care for yourself as a parent, there are ways that you can incorporate those kind of activities to also carry along other members of the family. And it's also a way to bond with your children. It's also a way to relax for yourself. So for example, maybe family game nights or maybe some new activities that you engage in as a family. It allows you to bond. It allows you to observe your kids. It also allows you to relax yourself and relax your mind. So it's not all the time that whenever you're interacting with your kids, it's about doing chores or about doing homework or about helping them with online class. It could be for fun things too. So when you're engaging in fun activities with your kids, it allows you that time to really know what's up with them, to notice if there is any changes in them, to notice if they are struggling with anything. And it makes it easier for them to open up and talk to you more about what they think, what they feel about this whole pandemic and the changes. Right. So in all of those activities, that's where you find things that help you now become a part of your child's life, even though you are so much tied up with activities and work. And noticing the differences. Nobody knows your child more than you do. Even if you're not at home all the time, you still have a better understanding of who your child is, their kind of person. When you notice a change in your child's behavior or in the way that they relate with members of the family, pick on it, follow up. With this whole lockdown and the quarantining that is happening, some people are locked down in extended families or living in houses that have a lot of people. So abuse is expected to be on the rise. So that's where also parents need to really be on the lookout, need to manage the kind of exposure that their kids have with outsiders or even insiders. Try to have more serious conversations with your kids on social issues like abuse. Let your child knows what it means. Let your child knows the warning signs. Let your child know that they can confide in you. So have these serious conversations with your child. That way you are curbing all these things before they become problematic. You're taking care of these things. You're being preventive about some of these issues.
Yeah, some of the problem is sometimes it's the parents themselves that are abusive towards the kids. And yeah, so we don't know how to deal with that situation. Is there any ideas? Do you have any ideas on how to protect children from abuse that comes from the parents themselves?
So a lot of times when if you're aware, if somebody is aware of this child being in danger, maybe it's time to probably report to the authorities or any organizations that work in this line of managing domestic abuse, and let them take it off from that. So there is only so much we can do because they are the legal guardians, and if they are the abusers, it's quite a very tricky and sensitive situation. So if you notice any signs of abuse, maybe you could speak to any organizations or any authorities that work in that line, and then they can follow up on it. So you don't have to get yourself in trouble with the family trying to save their child, because at the end of the day, they make it very clear that they are the parents, not you. So if you notice or suspect any signs of abuse, you can let the appropriate authorities know, and then they can follow up from there. If there is really abuse, they would know how to handle it, and they would know how to protect the children. And sometimes too, if as a significant adult, maybe as a teacher, you notice that it's important that it's not just parents that notice differences in children. As teachers too, it's important that you also notice when a child is being different, to try to follow up and see if there is something that you can do, or if there is something you can pick up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Aisha, for joining us today. It was a productive conversation that we've had, and so we hope that we can continue this conversation over the period of this time and find out ways in which to protect children from abuse and to just make sure that they're also mentally healthy in this period. So thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be it for now.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do I go off now?
Yes, you can go.
Okay.
Thank you for joining the Cable Live series. It will be the end of the episode today, and we'll meet you again same time next week.